What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, and before we even jump into it, I want to thank everybody for 100K subscribers. It's been a journey, but thank you so much for being a part of our insane community. But of course, jumping into the video, we have this fantastic video for you. We're going to be breaking down all of the juice, all of the drama over the Flashpoint 50 game tournament. We got to talk about meta-related things, esports drama, TSM throwing the entire tournament. You heard me right. They threw, straight up threw, and they're out of the tournament now, and much more. So make sure you watch it to the end. But GameLeap.com is the one-stop shop to increase your skills. We got mechanical tips, in-depth pro meta breakdowns, and much more. And right now we have a special 50% off sale, so check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now, the first story that we gotta jump into is about how TSM, of course, threw the entire tournament, but I'm getting a little bit too far ahead of myself. The actual first story involves newcomer team Dignitas, and Dignitas, of course, being the team that eventually knocked TSM out of the entire tournament. Now, Dig is the new kid on the block, but you shouldn't underestimate them because honestly, this team is not that new. You see, Dignitas is 5/6 homeless, which was a team that we reviewed previously on the channel, and they really impressed us before, destroying T1 in a tournament a long time ago. Now, that being said, since they have dropped Latsky, who is a fan favorite, of course, but he just wasn't playing the Jett position that they wanted, and they wanted to pick up a cracked Jett player who they found in Shanks, who has been absolutely dominant in this entire tournament. I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit. Now, of course, Dignitas and TSM came head-to-head in Dignitas's first tournament, and yes, many people just completely kind of tossed this team to the side, saying it's a brand new team, it's their first tournament. TSM, being the most dominant team right now, is just going to destroy them, but Dig sent them into the losers bracket, and then there would be a rematch again, and then Dig, who also got put into the losers bracket by C9, went up against TSM in a elimination round where whoever lost just got out of the entire tournament. Yes, the match was pretty close. The first match was close, the second match was close, and they were on their third map in Ascent, but unfortunately it met a tragic end right on the back of this 1G huge moment right here. Take a look, let's play the clip.
Sabrosa's still going to be hanging out by Spike. He's there the entire time. They're not going to give Shanks any angle to play around with here. The camera has actually identified where Shanks is going to be. And Psalm, he has to be careful here, but Psalm does manage to get one kill. Sabrosa, he finds himself one as well. Is this going to be it now? As Sabrosa, he's going to be the last man standing. He doesn't have a lot of health remaining, but Sabrosa, he has one more remaining! Oh no! Is it enough? He has enough time! I can't believe it! TSM are out of Pop Flash!
Now, yes, you saw this right. Sabrosa fights in a 2v1 and wins it. What an absolute nut. He hard carried the... Oh, wait. There were 3 people. Fuck! It turns out, in all seriousness, though, that Sabrosa actually was calmed by his team, that he won. They said congrats, they said good job. His team cheered and stuff, and it turns out that was a no. Now, this is another example of why team comms is incredibly important, so try to never call things out in your games incorrectly. If it can mess up a pro like Sabrosa, it could definitely mess you up as well. Now, on Twitter, Sabrosa got a whole bunch of hate for this, like a ton of hate, and he tweeted out this in response to it. Man, I would love to see some of you cringy Fs IGL, which means in-game leader, because he is the in-game leader for the team, entry and focus on your own game, horrible effing players tweeting BS. And so you see that he was notably mad from this, but honestly, this absolutely just opened the floodgates based on an interview that TSM Sabrosa had after losing to Dig in the regular bracket before he got knocked to the losers bracket, and Dignitas, the org themselves, made a meme video of it. I'm gonna play a little bit of this here, but basically they're making fun of Sabrosa in the interview and bragging about the fact that Dig knocked TSM out of the tournament.
I'm looking for them to be less lucky than they were yesterday. I'm looking for them to be less lucky than they were yesterday.
Now, that being said, Sabrosa clapped back saying this. He said, this orb gets hiked off of making it out of groups. Imagine that. It's a disappointment for us if we don't win the grand finals 13-3. Yeah, Sub, I don't really think this is gonna fly when you just lost to a brand new team coming into this tournament, but I do understand that you're kind of trying to defend yourself up against this org trying to basically comment on you. Now, that being said, a lot of people basically piled in right on top of TSM for a laugh, with TSM being the top dogs right now, losing to a basically brand new team being played in the tournament. A lot of people are commenting on it. You have picks like this pick from Cloud9 talking about how the era of TSM is already over in Valorant. We have multiple screenshots from both Dig and Sentinels of Myth blocking them, which is really, really funny. They're kind of talking back and forth about that, but I'm not sure why TSM Myth blocked them. He was watching the tournament and maybe he just doesn't want anything to do with players or teams that are not TSM. Now, next up, we have Sentinels post this little thing where they say, hey, at least they still have chess. This is really funny if you get the context, because TSM just signed Hikaru Nakamura, who is a 5-time world chess champion. I don't know if you've seen him on Twitch, but he streams a lot, and this is another dig on TSM. Basically, everyone is roasting TSM right now, in partial part to just the trash talk that comes out of Sub Rosa, of course. And it's really funny when someone trash talks and then they lose again, or, you know, they eat their words. That is entertaining for everybody, and people are just piling onto that. And then finally, the final thing that I'm going to show you is right here, which is the Sentinels picture for the matchup of Sentinels versus Dig. And it's really, really funny because it's, you know, basically it looked like they were planning for TSM, and no one expected Dig to win, but they did. They not only won, but they won it pretty convincingly, if I'm being honest. Now, I know I'm having a little bit too much fun with all this drama stuff, but let's get back to what this actually means for the esports scene and all the interesting tidbits that we can pull from that as viewers and as players. Now, first off, we don't get to see the Sentinels versus TSM rematch. TSM bested Sentinels recently, but we haven't got to see a rematch of this really big matchup between what is basically the top 1 and top 2, which I don't really know which one is number 1 or number 2, but you could argue either or depending on the day of the week, and this team is like the rivalry, but with TSM out of the tournament, we're not going to be able to see that. The next thing that we saw is Dig showed us that they can compete, and honestly, doing this well right off the bat is really, really impressive with a new member. And I mean, Homeless really didn't play in a lot of tournaments. They played in like one tournament, so this is pretty impressive because, of course, this is a new member of the team, and building up that synergy takes some time. And of course, I already mentioned it before, but Shanks was absolutely nutty this tournament. He was consistently overperforming. He was winning some matchups against Wardell. This guy is definitely a guy that you should keep your eye on. He is a Jett player, and he is really doing well. And as you're going to see, a lot of these teams, their ace players are really going to be dictated by these Jetts. You get a decent team, but you put a nutty Jett on that team will be able to compete. And if you have a really bad Jett, or you have someone that can't fill that role, it's going to be a struggle for them in this current meta. So he is definitely a player that you should keep your eye on, especially for the tournament tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Now, the next question is, okay, TSM lost to this new team. Are they just washed up? Are they just bad? Well, no, not at all. I don't think so at all, because TSM often makes game plans for hard teams. They revisit a drawing board and they become better and better. They did this versus Sentinel, where they got destroyed by them at the very beginning, and every time they would go up, they would be slightly better. They would have slightly better plans. And that's really how TSM does things up against teams that they can't just beat based on a raw Wardell mechanical section. Like, sometimes they can just out-snipe enemies, out-mechanic enemies, outplay enemies, but when they can't, they have to revisit the drawing board and play on a tactical level. I honestly think that TSM's coaches are probably top tier, because a lot of the teams that they struggle against, all of a sudden they will have a game plan going forward after a couple of training sessions or after a couple of weeks. So don't count TSM out at all means aside. Now, as for the rest of the tournament, Sentinels in particular has been crushing it, and look at what he did up against Immortals. Look at this, over 400 combat score, over 30 kills. What in the world is this guy made of? People are starting to see that being an Overwatch MVP was not for nothing. I mean, check out this response by his team. He posted it on Twitter, and Zoms thanked him for carrying his career multiple games now, which, of course, I mean, this guy is actually nuts. It would be awesome to have a guy this aggressive, this dynamic on your team that is just making these insane plays. And, of course, we're going to be breaking down this game, so make sure you smash that like and subscribe. Don't miss out, because it is really, really going to be awesome. awesome. I mean, look at this. Esports analyst Monte Cristo, he said that Sinatraa had the highest single kill score in Pop Flash. He's also #1 in KD ratio, average kills per round, average ACS, and average first bloods per round. That is a phenomenal record, and he is just pretty much destroying this tournament. Let's see if he can keep it up going into the playoffs and the finals. But if you like more videos like this where I really break down all the esports news behind the scenes and I tell you really notable things that you should look out for, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And do yourself a favor, if you want to improve and maybe even climb to even a fraction of the skill level of some of these titans of Valorant right now, do yourself a favor and go to the GameLeap website. We got a 50% off sale, insane opportunity, don't miss out, and I can't wait to see you there. But that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for coming by. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time.